For English 102. I am Devin Adams. I am the professor for this course, and I have been teaching in public education for over 20 years. I have worked at several Maricopa County colleges, and I also teach high school full-time. So the purpose of this video is to break down English 102 and go through the 5 main modules. I've found over almost 20 years of teaching this class that sometimes students get confused, and I really wanted to outline the class itself for you. So there are 5 main modules to the class. The first one's introductory, get to know you, work on writing competencies, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. And then we move into the 3 main writing prompts or writing projects. We also call them WP1, 2, and 3. So they are all based off of the same topic that you choose. So you decide at the beginning of the course what you're going to write about the entire course and what you're going to research for the course. The first one is the research proposal. The second one is the annotated bibliography. And the final one is the researched argument before moving on to the reflective cover letter. So a little bit about each of these, but beforehand, a little bit of overview. So everything's inside of Canvas. We meet inside of Canvas. This is an online course. It is completely virtual. We do not meet in person. We can meet virtually if you have the need and request it as well. So that is kind of how everything's set up. The one place that you want to make sure that you keep checking back is the announcements. I find that people ignore the announcements and don't really realize that they're there. I not only post there, but also the university does too. Sometimes SCC or one of the other colleges that I'm affiliated with will post different announcements about hotspots or scholarships or other opportunities coming up to students. So always look at the announcements. The class is a semester-long class of research. The majority of the semester breaks down the 3 WP writing prompts, and you are using the same prompt the entire semester. Okay? If you don't complete all 3 writing projects as well as the reflection at the end, it's going to be very hard to pass the class. They are the major projects. Okay? You do have a textbook for the class. We do use it. I know some people wonder if professors put the textbook on as a requirement and don't use it, and that gets very frustrating, especially when we know how much publishers make you pay for the books, even to rent them. So I'm telling you right now, the book is invaluable to the class. We are using the book. We do use the book. And a word about MLA formatting. For this class, MLA formatting is required. Now, if you don't know a lot about MLA or you weren't taught MLA in high school, go to Purdue's online writing lab and look at samples. Use that site. It's invaluable to you. It's important that you're using MLA format. For example, all writing that you do should have a header, MLA header, which is your name, my name, the topic of whatever you're turning in, whatever the project might be, as well as the date. The date is formatted in date, and then the abbreviation of the month, and then the year. Okay? Everything should be double spaced. Please copy edit. I have students all the time who, for whatever reason, they don't proofread what they write. I have lowercase I for pronouns, like people are typing on their cell phones, or no punctuation whatsoever. You are in the second year or the second semester of first year composition. You need to be practicing good grammar, convention, sentence structure, and spelling. If you have any questions about MLA, please ask me or look online first, because if you haven't been introduced properly, it could be a bit confusing. But there's only one way to do it. It's kind of like math. So figure it out, make it work, and please follow MLA formatting. Now, on to the writing projects. The first one is the proposal. You are not doing your research paper yet. the Writing Project 1, WP1, is not your research project. I have people all the time who do that and try to turn it in as the research project. It's not. It's a proposal on your project. You propose what you will research. Some of the basic things you need to include, and this is all in the directions as well as the rubric, is you need to include a discussion of audience. Who is your audience? I'll give you a clue. It's not me. It's also not everyone in the entire planet. And for our Trekkie friends, it's not everyone in the entire universe. It is who you want to take some sort of action, okay? Some group of people. For example, if you're talking about the pros of breastfeeding infants, I am not your audience. I am a male. My children are grown, and I could not biologically breastfeed if I wanted to. So I would not be your audience for that. Make sure that you talk about your connection to your proposal. For example, if you want to talk about breastfeeding, again, and you are a new mother, and you want to talk about the pros and cons and your own experiences, talk about how you connect to the writing project. And then include your research plan. What do you plan on doing? How do you plan on doing your research? Write about that. If you do not include all of those things, which I'm looking for, then your grade for WP1 will not be what you hope it will be. Once we finish writing project 1 and we talk about your proposal and we kind of go through that information, we go on to begin our research. And you will do an annotated bibliography. I know some of you have done works cited pages or references in high school or in English 101. This is a little bit different. You are doing MLA formatted sources, just like always. Please do not go get things off the internet and just give me a link to a web page that is not correct. But do go and do MLA sources, and then under each source, you need to talk about how you plan to use the source. What is a summary of the source? How is the source beneficial to your research? And then also, what criticism might you have about the source? Please make sure you include sources that refute your topic. Those are the ones that conflict or disagree with it. And please make sure that your annotated bibliography is complete. The annotated part is a paragraph or two, 150 to 200 words. Vary your sentence structure. I have people all the time, they write, "This author talks about." Well, let's go back to that. Who is the author? This author might be, let's say the author is Clark. So use the person's name, Clark, and then talks about. Is there a better way to say that? How about argues or asserts or pronounces? So Clark asserts. Clark asserts whatever the topic might be. So that's a lot better than saying, this author does this topic does this source does this. That makes it very weak. I don't need you to write "I believe" because I know you do, or you want to be writing the information. And also, please make sure your sources and your annotated bibliography are alphabetized. They're alphabetized by the first word in the source, typically the author's last name or the title, after the article. So if there's a word "the" in a title, use whatever word comes next as your alphabetical. Once you're done with WP2 and you submit it, be careful about WP2 because as we're working through the first third of the class, I'm asking you to do annotated bibliography entries. These are all towards WP2. Those students who blow those off and don't do them find later when they get to WP2 that suddenly they need them all and have to go back. So don't shoot yourself in the foot by not doing them when they're assigned. Once you have your sources together, we write the research paper. WP3 is the research argument. This is it. You need to include parenthetical citations for every source you use. You also need a works cited at the end. Go back to your annotated bibliography, figure out which sources you're actually going to use in the paper, use them, and include a works cited. The works cited is just the sources alphabetized as the final page of your WP3. It is not the full annotated bib. Okay? They do go in alphabetical order again. And please keep an eye on length. I always get students who are surprised when they get low grades because their work's underdeveloped. If I am to say that I expect 6 to 8 pages and you give me 3 pages on writing project number 3, that's about half of the minimum, and you're going to get about a half of the score that you could get. So be careful about that. Also, know that your references, your works cited page, is not included in the length, it's the actual length of the paper. Okay, and then finally, we don't have a final in the class. There's no final exam or anything, but your final is a reflective cover letter to me. This is more like an informal letter talking about what you've learned in the class, how you've become a better writer, what you've learned about the writing process. It's not that bad. And when you get to the directions on it, you'll see. One thing that I do want to point out real quickly to you about this is I frequently, and it's very surprising to me, that I have students who get to that last week of class or the last 2 weeks of class, and they're like, oh, he just wants a letter. I'm going to blow it off and not do it because I have to go study for somebody else's class. And that writing project, the final one, the cover letter, is worth about 10% of your grade. So those who don't do it suddenly drop an entire letter grade. And my goal is not for that to happen. If you do everything and work as well as you can in this class, you will guarantee to get an A or a B in the class. If you do everything and do your best and reach out and communicate, this is what's going to happen. A or B. That's it. It's your decision at this point. I hope that this overview helps. I know that I've done iterations of it over the years, but I kind of wanted to wrap it up and put it all together so I can use it and really kind of help you understand what's going on in the class. So I will see you online. Thank you very much for everything.